competitive industry, casting. It's very female, and you know, there's a lot of casting directors. There's a lot of really good ones. So you have to be very sure of yourself and very like, just keep going. You know what I mean? It's a funny old place, the film industry at the moment, but it's getting better.
Fair enough. Yes.
So my question is, hi,
hello.
my question is, if I, as a director, know which actor specifically I want to cast, but I don't know how to contact his ex-agent, his agency, because I can't find him angry or whatever, and I want to contact you, is it like, do you have a database where you can find all the agents of the actors?
Yeah, so basically...
And how much would it cost?
No, I'll just help you. No, because what I do is I use a mixture of Spotlight and IMDb Pro. That's where, it's not a big secret, that's where most casting assistants will be getting the info for their casting directors. IMDb Pro you have to pay for. That's where everyone's agent's details are. I've never not found anyone on there. And Spotlight. But then obviously as well, the thing about being a casting director is a real relationships game, right? So that's why it's un-AIable at the moment. So we hope. That's what I'm saying. So when you start off, like, and if it's even someone vaguely well known, that actors' agents are notoriously hard to get through to. Do you know what I mean? They're not going to really. They don't make it easy. It took me a while enough for them to take my calls. You know what I mean? And you know, once you learn how to do that, you learn to be confident enough. It's no big secret. Do you know what I mean? But basically, it's. If you were doing that, you wanted to find I'll find a casting assistant or someone wants a leg up and to make, you know, to collaborate with you, and they'll be able to give you what you want. Or just email me and ask me, and I'll give you.
Very generous. Was there one more question at the front here?
Yes, I was going to ask, as a casting director, how much do you kind of get to know the film that you're casting, and like what are the main things that you need to kind of understand?
How more do I get to know the what?
The film that you're casting.
Oh yeah.
And like how much do you need to know about, like, I don't know, like what are the main things you need to understand about the film to understand how to cast?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, I am at the point now where I don't really have to cast stuff that I don't want to do. Do you know what I mean? That I don't connect with. Because obviously it's twofold. It's obviously, you get sent the script. If someone will ask you to do something, then always, before I do anything, I'll always say I need to read the script. So I'll read the script and then come up with ideas. At that point, it's usually a director. And then the next key thing to try and get on with is that you connect with the director, because it's only ever happened to me once. On The Crown, actually. Oh no, I can't say now because it will give it away. But anyway, there was someone on The Crown. No, I'm not gossiping about. But I just couldn't get on. I just could not get on with this particular director. And I tried really hard, and it was obviously that we just didn't get on, and it made it really hard. So I read the script, and it's whatever's there on the page, and then the director will have their own ideas, or if they don't, that's also fun, because I come up with my own, but it will be dictated by things like, what's the budget, how much are we paying the actors, what days is it, how many days is it, because that will affect my choices. But ultimately, the first thing that I have to do is I have to connect with it, otherwise I can't do it. And I've learned that the hard way. Do you know what I mean? To like when I was starting out, and you know, I started working on these films with people I just didn't want to make the film. It's really hard to have to go through that process, because it's a beautiful collaborative process that I'm really feel lucky to be working in. So, you know, like I worked with this director who was like, I want this actor to be 5'6", and I was like, what do you mean? I don't understand. Like, what do you mean he has to be 5'6"? There's no reason for it in the script. And he was like, yeah, but in my mind, I want him to be 5'6". So that sort of person I don't want to work with anymore. Do you know what I mean? Because that's just pardon?
Directors having like ideas about a character, or about who the actor is, that's like burned in.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't exist.
Well, I mean, generally the directors I work with, because directors have to be people that are used to not getting exactly what they want, and or you know, in certain areas, and working their way through it. So generally they, you know, they've got, you're able to work in a collaborative process I don't think I've had it yet where someone's been like, if it's not this actor, I'm not doing it. Because you can't do that in the film industry, because there's always, the film industry is a crazy place. You know, things happen, actors get this job, they get that job, they get injured, things happen. So it's a hiding to nowhere to be. If there was a director that was like that, I think I'd be a bit reticent of working with them, because I think they're probably going to get knocked back quite a lot in that sort of area, do you know what I mean? So generally, it's not such a hard line. Or if it is, I try and talk them out a bit.
In recent years, there's been a greater movement towards what we'd call colourblind or colour-conscious casting. How has this sort of impacted the industry, and what are your sort of personal perceptions of it?
I mean, for me, I think it's been okay. So when it's done properly, in inverted commas, right, it's great. It's like, I think everyone can tell when it's tokenistic. Okay, like I was casting something recently. My friend, someone was saying, "Oh, why we should put a deaf actor in that list or whatever." And I said, "Yeah, but that you're just doing that to tick a box." So I think there's a general approach of that's great that things are more colourblind. Unless it's written into a role, there's never a reason why I would just do a list of all white people, unless it was specifically historically accurate, and that's the way the director wanted to do it. It's really nice that things can be, all opened it up. I mean, I'm up for everyone having the opportunity wherever, but as long as it's not done tokenistically.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because I just think people, that's not good for anyone. And if an actor's getting called in, they'll know it's for the wrong reasons. Do you know what I mean? It's just when it's mishandled, I think. But in general, I think it's great. You know, everything should be open. You know, I've got an actor who's got Russia Silver syndrome, which is like a form of dwarfism, and she's auditioning for me in a role that's not written that way. But why can't she audition?
Yeah.
She might. You know what I mean? There's no reason for it not to be like that. So I think it's a good thing.
Oh, fantastic. Are there any examples you can sort of think of where you think like that was actually particularly well done, or sort of, because you mentioned sort of you want to avoid it feeling tokenistic, but any examples where it's like, that was an interesting choice that worked well.
Well, I think you shouldn't notice it. Do you know what I mean? You shouldn't be watching something and be going, oh, I like what they've done there by hiring someone non-white or something like that. Do you know what I mean? It's just across the board. It should just be more open. Yeah. I mean, my friend, I don't know, but then, it's difficult. My friend made Anne Boleyn with Jodie Turner-Smith as Anne Boleyn, and it was brilliant. She was perfect. It doesn't matter. But for all of that, there was a lot of, a lot of other kickback stuff she got from people who are racist.
Yeah.
So, but I think that's brilliant. So for me, being able to give an example of when it's well done, it should be everything modern. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Because it just should feel natural. It just shouldn't feel like, oh, they've done that good. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I could probably give you more lists of things where it's not done well. Yeah. Where you suddenly go like, oh my god, this is so
if
cringe.
You're happy to.
No, I'm not. That's a joke. I'm definitely not calling out anyone to work. But I think like when you can feel it, and you're going, why have they done it like that? I think that's the problem.
Is it sort of like the editing rule, like it's bad editing when you notice it?
Yeah, exactly.
It's bad casting.
I mean, obviously as well, when I'm watching stuff, I can get irked by bad casting or lazy casting. So that's my, if you're going to be a director, you'll look at something and go, oh my god, why did you do that shot? If you're an actor, I don't know, actors probably a bit more generous because they can't look at themselves, let alone anyone else. But like, I could not be an actor. Good luck to everyone, it's amazing. I love actors, they're amazing. But you know what I mean, it's kind of I just feel like that when things stand out, that's never a good thing.
I sometimes find with a lot of our students, particularly our student filmmakers, that they tend to have the opinion that like, oh, I really want to be a director or a producer. They don't really they think of these sort of end goal jobs without thinking of like entry ways in. And so they might be some people might be thinking like, oh, I want to be a casting director. But what do you think are some of the entry level positions or ways into the casting, the world of casting?
Do you know, I've got to be honest, casting's quite a fussy area. Do you know what I mean? I feel like there's some other jobs, like for example, if you want to direct and or you want to produce, that you can go in various different ways. Casting, people really like people like to just have started in casting, been a casting assistant, worked in casting, like the CSA and the CDG, all those big companies that people have the letters after their name. They really want you to only do casting. They don't want you to do anything else. So if you wanted to be a casting director, my advice would be to just just get a casting job, like a casting assistant job. It's weird because for anything else, being a director or anything else, I'd be like, be on set, make films, do that. But casting's a bit of a weird one. It's a little more fussy.
Kind of separate.
Yeah, it's a little bit more stuck up, for want of a better phrase. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I still don't understand why you can't be a producer and a casting director, but there's certain rules. I mean, and I've got to admit as well, if I was going to do things slightly differently and end up as a casting director, I never worked for another casting director, I've just worked for myself. And I think it is good to work through that process and understand how to learn. Because when I had my first big job, I didn't realise how much negotiating of money and things like that I had to do. Because you have, as a casting director, you do the deals.
Yes.
You have a budget. You have like, you know, a $5 million budget, and you've got to work it. And it's not that I'm not good with budgets and stuff, but I was like, oh, I love casting. It's so fun. Like I just get to do this all day. And then I was like, oh, okay. So it's kind of, I think if you wanted to do casting, it probably is on this occasion in the film industry better to do that route. Everything else, I'd say, just make some films and try and. All the best people I've worked with started in or around the bottom. Be a runner, stand out in the range. You know what I mean? You can tell the Nepo babies, for want of a better phrase. But you know, you can tell the producers that have never been on set.
Yeah.
They just have a different attitude to the crew.
Okay.
Saying no names. Could get myself in trouble, I'm telling you.
Very good. Does anyone from the audience have any questions? Yes.
When you are looking on Spotlight,
Can't hear you, sorry.
when you're looking on Spotlight as a casting director, what stuff stands out to you as a profile? Like what ticks the right boxes for you to be intrigued?
I mean, I've got to admit, I don't like sometimes if I'm casting a short film for someone, like I just did this one for this young director the other day, so it was no money, and I did go through Spotlight to do that, but generally, I just, if I'm trying to find someone, I just want people to tape straight away because I can't see what I need to see from show reels and headshots. I want to see someone, I mean, show reels are great, and get a good show reel if you want to be an actor as soon as possible, but I mean, what stands out as a headshot, I can't really tell you. There'll be a certain thing in my mind, but I need to see someone acting. So do you know what I mean? Like I don't ever want. I'm trying. You know, I think, of course, there'll be a certain kind of person in my head that I'm looking for that role. But I try and give as many people the chance as possible. Because if it's self-tapes, the only thing it's going to cost is my time. I'd rather watch 300 self-tapes. Do you know what I mean? Than get endless like headshots. What do you think? I don't care. Just get on tape. So, and I think casting's an interesting thing as well. I think each casting director does it differently. Like I really like to collaborate with agents, like the bigger agents, like 50, 42 and B-side and all those people. I have good relationships, so I'll tell them what I need, bless you, and then let them send me stuff. But some agents would never, casting directors would never do that. They'd be like, absolutely not. They want to do it themselves. Do you know what I mean? So I think as a casting, there are obviously crossovers, but people do it in different ways.
Yes.
Can't see. Like physically with the actors. Yeah, so that depends again. I mean, I guess the reality is, so I'm doing some auditions on the Chocolate Wars, so I'll be in the room with the actors for that day, and we'll do the chemistry test, and then they're like my babies. Then that's it. They go out into the world, and that's it, which I really hate actually. So, I mean, unless there's a reason to get them back in. Once I've auditioned them, and then I've done their deal. That's it. I don't get to spend any more time with them, which is quite sad actually.
Yes.
I'm sure when you're casting, there'll be a lot of people who can probably do the role to a basic degree. What's something that separates people to show that high performance that really do something special in the role, whether that's in the in-person casting or something else?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really hard one to define that. I get asked that quite a lot because I understand that's a question that you'd want answered. So casting, I think the reason why there's so many women in casting as well is quite intuitive, it's quite feeling, right? When someone does something, I can't really explain what makes it magic. I think it's the people when I stop, when that moment I forget I'm watching a self-tape, that's really magical, right? I still find that really exciting. The thing that I will tell everyone who's trying to be an actor is obviously, you've got to remember, I don't always cast the best actor, I cast the best actor for the role, right? So, you know, and that is how, you know, but also as well, what I would advise about self-tapes and auditions, without doing something completely out of the reality of the script, don't be afraid to take a chance. Don't be afraid to do something different. Do you know what I mean? Don't be afraid to bring. There's no, you know what I mean. Unless the role has got very specific brackets of what it wants. You know, don't be afraid to definitely to take a chance, and don't be afraid when you do your ident. I know if I'm on a tape, it feels ridiculous. Be personable, be funny, be yourself. Like the other day, like someone was doing an ident and he was like, "Oh, what is it you want from me?" Something. It was so cute that it made me remember him. Do you know what I mean? It's like, if you're coming to an audition, have something to say before you start the audition, even if it's a stupid story or, oh, whatever, something about that. Just try and find a way in. I know that some casting directors aren't light and fluffy like I am, but you know, just try and be memorable for the right reasons. Do you know what I mean? So, but it's like, but yeah, I mean, my daughter did some acting for a while. She's little, and she didn't get a role. It was this thing, the Midwich Cuckoos. Anyway, she did this audition, and generally I'm really hard on her, but she did this audition, and it was brilliant. She didn't get the job. And then when the show started, I sat her down and we watched it, and the kid that got the job was really weird looking, like a little witch, right, which is what was necessary. So it kind of like helped her understand. Well, I mean, it's true. I don't mean like a witch. She was good. She was great. The kid was great. The kid is great. She's gone on to great things.
Be weird looking.
Yeah. No. If you want to be in the Midwich Cuckoos, which is about witches. But I showed her that she was a better actor, but this kid was better for the role. So you know what I mean? And also, you've got to let go of auditions when you've done them. You know what I mean? You've got to go, that's done now, it's over, I did my best. You know what I mean? Otherwise, you'll drive yourself absolutely nuts.
Is there anyone you can recall from your own career who just, when you were cast, just really took you by surprise in the casting role, that someone sort of established or a complete unknown?
I don't know. I mean, they all do. But I mean, I found, you mean like when you find someone and they go on to, so there's a young-ish actor I just cast as a young Aaron Taylor-Johnson in Blood on Snow, and now he's gone on to be the lead in the new Zelda movie. Oh. So that made me really proud, because I had to really fight for himself, because the director was just being fussy. I had to find someone who looked like Aaron, who was northern, who could ski and do something else, and I was like, okay, well, I've found him and could act, and he was still like, oh, I don't know, and I was like, oh my God, are you joking? So anyway, but now he's gone on to be the lead in the Zelda movie, and he's like a kid from Newcastle, and that's made me really happy. So stuff like that is really, that's the first thing, I think that's either the first or second person that I've gone, oh, I did that. Well, no, he did it, but you know, between us we did it, yeah. It's really, really nice.
No, that must feel like really rewarding.
It feels really nice. He hasn't called me to say thank you yet, but I will be taking. I will be taking credit. I did say to his agent at least 3 times, I'm looking forward to my flowers, but I'm sure they're coming. I'm sure they're coming.
Any day. They're probably being delivered.
His
right
agent
now.
did say it's all because of you, Joe. I don't think he was being sarcastic.
Well, fair enough. I mean, hopefully you get the plaudits you deserve.
It's nice. Yeah, it's nice to see him do it. It's nice.
Yeah.
It's
well,
not.
They've just done an Oscar for casting.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Time.
The first one.
Yeah.
So my friend Nina Gold, obviously you all know Nina Gold is. So I'm really glad, because she's the only English person that's been nominated, both in the BAFTAs and the BAFTAs. No. You know I want to win the BAFTA, please. It's a brilliant film. If you haven't seen it, it's called I Swear. Has anyone seen it? It's brilliant. No, you haven't seen it. Yeah, it's brilliant. So it's about Tourette's. Yeah. And she did this casting. In fact, I wanted to cast that guy, Rob Arameo. It was bloody brilliant. But that, yeah, I mean, it's mad. The thing about casting is, I think because it's so collaborative, people just often don't think that they need a casting director. You know, like, casting's so funny. You know, everyone's got an opinion. You know, someone from down the road or outside the production office will be like, oh, have you tried Brad Pitt? Do you know what I mean? It's like everyone thinks, no one understands, like people think it's really easy. Yeah. And it's really not.
Do you think it's worth, because I think casting is sometimes a role that in our own students' productions maybe gets overlooked a little bit. Maybe even if they can't afford the services of a casting director for their own productions, is it worth them trying to get in touch with a casting assistant or something, someone who is eager and interested in that world to get them involved in their own
Listen,
productions.
always try, man. I still do stuff for like 100 quid, like, you know, or like a token sort of like, or for free. So like I said, this film I just did with this young director, I can't resist stuff. It's always worth trying. Do you know what I mean? It's definitely like, and yeah, go to the bigger ones and try like the casting, but also just try. Yeah, maybe, you know, like, I don't know, I'm quite good with replying to emails, but it's always worth trying because I think casting directors still really want to help. And also, if you want to be a director, don't be scared of actors and don't, you know, like, don't just not see them. Do you know what I mean? They're humans, not objects. To make your film look pretty. Do you know what I mean? Because sometimes I feel like people forget that without actors, there's nothing.
Just for the benefit of our audience, who are the big ones, apart from obviously Jo
So
Farrugia
Shaheen Baig's lovely, Carmel Cochran, Nina, me, obviously you can contact. Do you know what I mean? But I've just also like this, I mean, there's loads of them. There's literally so many brilliant casting directors. It's like, you know, if you just look it up, it's not, I think on IMDb, or something, it's, you know, it's not that hard to track down their emails. Do you know what I mean? Probably like, find an indie casting director because they're used to not earning loads of money. Right, so get an indie casting, and also they'll want to help because indie people care about film.
No, not everyone gets to find Zelda.
No, exactly. Everyone's going to email me now, aren't they? And I'm going to be a sucker and do it all. You can all email me.
Yeah, so in the white t-shirt at the back.
Yeah. So to avoid just bombing you with emails,
You can.
What do you, as an actor, what do you recommend for people who like want to go into acting to do in order to be visible and be seen, apart from like spotlight and stuff like that?
I mean, what I generally say to younger actors is if you haven't got a good show reel, get one, right? And it's really, there's no excuse to not make a film now in 2026 because you can make a pretty decent film on your phone, right? In fact, a really decent film. Danny Boyle can do it, anyone can do it. But do you know what I mean? So what you need to do is get content, so you've got like a good show. I mean, I know Facebook's over whatever, but there's always people looking for people to be in their films, right? So say you make 15 films and one of them's got an amazing scene in it, then you've got that amazing scene for free. So my advice to be seen would be to create your own content, especially female actors, because there's still not, you know, there's still not always the best roles out there for younger women. So, you know, just find people who you want to work with and you like their work ethic or you like what they're shooting, and, you know, find a writer that you love. It's not that hard. It's so easy to communicate at the moment. It's, you know, I mean, there's no excuse to not just go out the weekend and make a film. So just create your own stuff. Because the more you're in front of a camera as well, the more you'll learn. Oh, where do I look better? What do I do? Am I a good dramatic actor? Am I better at comedy? Know thyself. Do you know what I mean? Because when I'm working with young actors as well, I often do ask them, are you funny? Are you good at drama? What are you better at? Where do your strengths lie? Because there's no point in me sending someone for a job that is not funny or can't do comedy, but is an amazing dramatic actor. Do you know what I mean? So find out. Remember, when you're an actor, you work for yourself. You're a business. So do you know what I mean? Take care of yourself. Know what you're good at. Blah blah. Watch a lot of stuff. You know, find out where it is you want to be in the acting world. Does that make sense? Is that helpful?
Yes.
I was going to ask, just like for me, not as an actor, but from trying to work with actors and sending out, you know, work with actors that not actually at all, and it's like you're sending out like sides and to get self-tapes and like how much, I'm never sure how much information I should be giving the actors, and then, you know, they take it and then they give a self-tape and they make a choice, and then like how much are you kind of giving notes and feedback and trying it again, like just that kind of whole process. I feel often I'm really unsure about how I'm supposed to go about it every time I do.
Okay. I mean, I think if it's something like, if you're talking about shorts at the moment, is it short films? I mean, generally if I'm casting a short film, I'm going to send the script out. Do you know what I mean? Because otherwise there's no point what they do. So I'll send the script out. Sometimes I let people choose the bits themselves. If it's a 15-page script, I'm like, do what you want. Do you know what I mean? And then obviously as a casting director, when they come back, I'm not really giving feedback. I'm either getting them back in to do it again and saying, I don't know. I mean, it depends on your time frame. If you've got time to sit through the tapes and go, look, okay, I think you're great, but I need you to do it like that. But from a self-tape, I'd move on to real life.
Yeah.
no matter what, if I can do that on a short, I just did this short film I just did. I still got still got 20 people to come for an audition, because generally actors like to work. Do you know what I mean? So is that what you're asking me? What is it you want to know about how to? What do you trying to get to the point?
So I think it was really answered.
Oh, okay, great.
Like you go and so it's like from a self-tape, then generally you just kind of
Well, yeah, I mean, if they've done the self-tape and you like them, I'd just meet them, or just hire them. Do you know what I mean?
Is that like first meet them for coffee or just like first straight audition?
Oh, I know. I just go to get them to audition. Do you know what I mean? I think that's always nice, especially if you're going to direct them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's generally what I do as a casting director. Do you know what I mean? And then, also, what I like to do when I audition people is not always just do the script, just see where people are, like in improvising, things like that. Just give them a bit of time to see how they're going to be. Not everyone is good at a self-tape. Do you know what I mean? It's a medium that some people are terrible at. I myself look at some self-tapes and I'm like, I'm sorry, this is sometimes a painful process. Do you know what I mean? And also, you can drive yourself nuts doing self-tapes because, my friend who's, been acting for quite a long time, she gives herself a time limit now and makes herself leave the room where the self-tape setup is, because otherwise you'll just go like insane doing it over and over. Do you know what I mean? But you've got to remember that some people, and if you're not good at self-tape, that doesn't mean you're not a good actor on film. It just means some people have to do it, they haven't got anyone that's available, so they have to record the other lines on their phone and things like that. Do you know what I mean? It's insane. We need to go back to a bit more balance in that world, I think. But yeah, I mean, if you feel it as well, I mean, don't be scared. If someone does a self-tape and you're like blown away or you're feeling it, just hire them. That's what I do.
Yeah, the tall, handsome one.
I just want to give I trained as basketball in a few groups, but I'm just thinking about what you're saying. Do you still call people into rooms at this point, or is obviously self-tape is the norm at the moment?
I pushed for it. When I did Blood on Snow, we did in real life castings with the director and some of the actors. When was that? So that was just last year. And everyone was so chuffed to be there. I mean, I know Carrie Fukunaga is Carrie and did True Detective and Bond, so blah, 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 but great. But also lots of people were like, I've not met a director for 4 years or 2 years. You know what I mean? If I can get in front of, it's so boring not to do it like that.
Yeah.
So I think slowly but surely there's a return.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because I just feel like there's more in real life auditions going on because people are, really that's the joy of it. Because also people that come in for that quite often, don't forget, if you come in and you don't get the job, you're banked in my head now. Do you know what I mean? And that sort of thing. Sorry, do you have a follow?
No, I'm just thinking as well with that. That's great. Sometimes the director won't be able to do for a casting because obviously the process is different, and especially with film TV, a lot of demand, and that's where you come in.
Yes.
And how does that differ when the director is in and out of the room with you in the room?
Well, it depends really. Like, for example, sorry to bring up Carrie, he's my friend, I love you, Carrie. But he doesn't want to say or do anything. He just wants to sit at the back like this, and let me run it all. But then some directors, I just did a thing for Channel 4, this one of their little black things, and that director is like a young kind of comedy director, and he really led it. So if I'm on my own, I mean, listen, I trained as an actor as well, but no, thank God I didn't do it because I'd be dead from anxiety. So I kind of have I kind of understand how it feels to be in that room. I don't think everyone does. I have once got pushed into a casting by accident with someone thinking I was an actor, and it was terrific. The casting director was going to me show me your hands, and I was like, what are you doing? What's going on? It was so horrifically unpersonable. So I try and make my castings fluffy, and because you're trying to get the best out of people, as far as I was aware. Do you know what I mean? So I don't have to do another day of seeing lots of people. I mean, when I worked on The Crown, I used to sometimes audition 50 people in a day, so it's hard, but you always try and give people at least 2 chances of doing it.
Yes.
Even if it's a little one-liner.
Because they might have just be having a bad day.
Yeah, and I mean, it's so hard. That's what's so hard about acting. Even if you're having the world's worst day, you've still got to go and be sparkly and turn it on. Do you know what I mean? That's why when people don't think they think actors have it easy.
Yeah.
I always think, yeah, all right. Why don't you go home and learn 5 pages of scripts and then come back and do a nude scene when you're having your worst day. Do you know what I mean? You've got to be able to compartmentalise pretty significantly.
It's funny that you mentioned a nude scene just then. Sort of when you're asking, when the role calls for something like that, or say fighting, or like a really specific element like that, how much is that sort of discussed and brought into the casting process? Is it just from day one going like, okay, cards on the table, this is what is expected of you? How does that conversation happen?
For sure, in my opinion, is that it should be, that it's on me to make sure that the actor that's coming in. There was something I was reading about, and there was an actor who was playing a stripper, but she was asked to be topless, and then everyone was kind of blaming the director slightly, and I was a bit like, well, I think that's on the casting directors to say, look, there's nudity in it. I mean, obviously as well, there's. Sometimes it's my job to make sure the actors are informed, but also not to persuade them to be nude or anything, but kind of like to go through what's going on.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I get very emotionally attached to people I've cast, not in a stalker way, but like, in a way that I want to look after them.
Yeah.
So I would never want someone to be on set and suddenly being told to do something that I hadn't told them about.
Yes.
So I would feel personally, that's quite a lot on me.
I think there was another question from the back. Yes, the back right there.
I know you spoke about casting people if they've got the right look or that instinct. Is there anything you see actors do that think, no, I don't want? Like, are there any common mistakes that kind of maybe not fully shut it down, but turn you away?
What do you mean? Sorry, I couldn't hear the latter part of that question.
Like, are there any common mistakes that actors make?
I mean, look, it's so obvious the stuff. It's not so much a mistake, because when people are in the room, I mean, there's nothing I could say to you is don't ever do that as an actor, but don't ever not know your lines, and don't be late unless you've got a really good reason, and don't be rude to anyone, because you might think that person who's checking you in on reception, that might be my casting assistant. So it's those kind of common sense. I think sometimes actors forget that it's like a job interview. So make sure you look as good as you could for the role, but definitely. I mean, I've had someone audition for me once who didn't know their lines, and I was like, I just don't understand the point of you being here. What do you think is going to happen? Do you think I'm going to hold your hand and say, "Oh, let me help you through it," or do you think I'm going to say, "How disrespectful to the other 25 people that are outside waiting because you've just taken their time"?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And like, do you think I'm ever going to see you again? I mean, I would say that if you do something, that like comes spectacularly unprepared, and like I think one actor was like, "Oh, but I was moving house at the weekend," and I was like, "It's Thursday." You know what I mean? Like, you've done that. And also, in the nicest way, it's too hectic and busy an industry. People don't care, sadly to say, unless you're a bit higher up the food chain. You're going to be dismissed in a way. So, while you're working your way up, be memorable for the right reasons.
Advice I think we can all live by.
I know. Yeah, I still tell that to myself.
You mentioned some of your earlier career before, particularly your work as a producer, but I know that you're also a director's assistant.
Yeah, I was.
You were. Could you sort of explain or talk about that a little bit, please?
Yeah, it was a great job, actually. I mean, it's kind of, if you don't want to be in the production office all the time and you want to learn more about it, director's assistant's great, because you can learn anything if you want to learn, if you've got the right director. I have worked for some that just made me get their laundry, believe. But like some of them, you can be on set next to them all day by the monitor, and you can be asking about the cameras, and you can go in the makeup truck, and you can do all that. So it's a real nice 360 paid way to be in the industry. I think it's quite hard to get into it nowadays, the industry, but I think people they're trying to make it less closed off. Do you know what I mean? I went and taught at LSA a couple of weeks ago, and I think the balance of trying to get different people involved and stuff like that. I think, but if you want to do that sort of thing, it's good to kind of start getting in now and trying to make contacts with people. Do you know what I mean? And reach out to people, because I think it's still quite hard to get into, walk into.
Any favourite directors from your time being assistants?
I mean, Carrie.
Yeah.
They've all been pretty good. I really enjoyed working on The Crown. I really enjoyed working with Stephen Daldry. He's my absolute hero. And not only is he super talented, he's really naughty and fun. I mean, like, what a laugh. And
That's what you need.
Yeah. And in fact, on The Crown, there was some of my favourites. But I mean, other than Carrie, I haven't worked with enough women. That's my problem. I'd like to have worked with more females, but because most of that was 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So that was, Sarah Gavard I like working with, Koki Giedrick, there we go, there's some women. So I generally have been quite lucky, apart from that one director, do you know what I mean?
Do you feel the industry has, because you said that casting is unusual in that it is so women dominated, but do you think the rest of the industry is catching up with that a little bit, or is it still real?
No. I would say that the direct amount of female directors has gone backwards, isn't it, of late? So with the Oscars and stuff, I know it's Chloe Zhao, and then a brilliant film called If I Had Legs I'd Kick You by, what's her name, Maria Ponzini, who's brilliant, but didn't get nominated for an Oscar. One woman is not enough. Do you know what I mean? She's not going to win anyway. Paul Thomas Anderson's going to win, for sure. Do you know what I mean? So if there's still only one director, you do the math.
Yes. No,
So I think what would be great is if the female DP that's nominated for Sinners won, Autumn, what's her name? Because that's brilliant. She should anyway. But no, I think it's still makeup and hair and costumes dominated by women. I think directors, it needs to be pushed more in the right direction. So.
No, absolutely. Were there any other questions from the audience this
I
time?
think there's one there.
Yeah, sorry, I can see you.
Make sure you speak up because I think it's the stuff. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it just depends on from casting to director to casting director. I would never, like, if someone fumbles their lines and says, "Look, sorry, I only got this yesterday," or whatever. I'm not going to be, you know. I know I said it about learning your lines, but if you've been given loads of time and that sort of thing. But if it's a last minute thing, I think. It depends on what you're auditioning for. If you're auditioning for being in real life for a movie or something like that, it's definitely going to be a kinder, gentler space. If it's a commercial, I think they're pretty hard. Do you know what I mean? I think it's bang, 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 in and out. So I mean, in terms of making mistakes, I mean, sometimes mistakes are what makes me hire someone. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of, I think as well, if you're going through some lines and you've fluffed some of it or whatever, just keep going, just make it up. Because it's not, I don't necessarily need to, I don't need to see the actor do it line for line. I'd rather see what you do with it and how you recover and stuff like that, because obviously that's almost telling to how you'll be on set as well. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Obviously, you mentioned before, but asking to be a runner or to be in the audience should get that foot on set. I'm sure people get asked by so many people if they can run for them and assist in some way. Is there a way to stand out in that maybe to make someone choose you to help out with their
I don't know really. I mean, to be quite honest, some of it's quite nepotistic, not in the way of like nepo like that, but like someone knows someone knows someone. Do you know what I mean? So I think getting your foot in the door the first time, I imagine it's pretty bloody hard. But what I would look at are things like, if you can't, I know it's expensive, but things like learning to drive, things like that, things that like they're going to choose someone else over you, and I'm sorry because I know it's bloody expensive, things like that. But working out a way that like, I mean, I think look, you know, like Facebook and stuff like that, it still has loads and loads of film groups, right? Loads of groups where you can start like trying to just hit people up and try and get the foot in the door. But what I would do is just get as much experience as possible, like short films working for free. I know it's annoying, or doing what you can, so you can say, you know, I mean, if your CV's padded out, even if it's all short films, doesn't matter. They're going to look and go, all right, you know what you're doing. You know what I mean? You got to do like the first time I did a short film, I made like every mistake going. Do you know what I mean? Like literally, like my phone went off. It was in a flat and I flushed the toilet at the wrong time. They were taking a scene. If I was shouted at about 800 times. But you know, and then the next time I was on set, I knew what I was doing. But if you've never stepped on a film set, you're not going to be on a bigger thing. You've got to be able to kind of have the respect for the industry you're getting into in a way. Do you know what I mean? You've got to just kind of try and put the work in to get up the ladder a bit. But it's quite a lot about contacts, I think. Do you know what I mean? So I'll just try and make some. That's not very helpful in a way, but you never know who you're going to meet when you're making this. I'm talking to people online. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
When you go for like a different in-person audition and the director isn't there, so it's just you, the casting director, and they will do like several takes or something like that. What do you then do with those takes? Do you edit them together? Do you choose one of that you think is the best, showing what you can do or what your vision is, and send that? Or then what's your control
So basically, if you go to somewhere like Spotlight, where the auditions, I do a lot of auditions there, or somewhere they film it and edit it for you. They will edit out the chatting. They'll do a bit of the intro, and then they'll put your takes together. Unless I specifically say, you know what, their third take where they kind of really bumbled it. If it's someone I really like or anyone I think is really great, and there's a bit where they've done something I don't think the director will like, I'll ask them to take it out, but I don't think that's ever happened. Generally, they'll just cut the takes together and it will be shown in its entirety. So, but they'll kind of edit out they'll put a bit of intro and then every take that you did. So, and then send it to me and I'll just show it all to the director. I just show the director everything, unless I don't want them to see something because it might go against me and the actor, but that's never really happened.
Is it like, it's all about sort of trying to give them the best version of what they want whilst also putting your own stamp on it?
Yeah, I mean, we're not putting I mean, look, I really love actors. That's what you've got to remember, right? I love my job. I love actors. And what I want the director to see is what I've seen. Because obviously, people I picked to put on tape, yeah, it's a reflection on me. Do you know what I mean? But I want to give them the best possible chance. That's why, you know, in the room, I try and make it soft and fluffy. And I think most casting directors are like that, actually. Like the ones that are at the top, Shaheen, Nina, Kama, they're the same. They care about actors because they not only do they want what they're working on to be a good reflection on them, they want the actors to be able to come out of it triumphant. Do you know what I mean? Like I said, I don't want to have to watch another 300 tapes. I want to find what I'm looking for in this 300. Do you know what I mean? Also, you know, but you know, I think actors are real magic.
Is there one over here? Yeah?
Have you ever, like, do you find sometimes it's really hard to find the right person? Like, is there ever a time where it's like, you know, it just feels almost impossible to find?
Yes. Yes, but it's for funny reasons. So, I don't think this is being gossipy. No, who cares? Right, so anyway, so when I was working on Blood on Snow, Tom Hardy was supposed to be in it, and then he wasn't, because he's a lunatic, and he's got no taste. So I had to replace him, and that was really hard, but that was hard because I needed an A-lister. Very small pool of people considered an A-lister. And the material didn't respond to some people, and it was kind of low budget for the film that it was. So it's for those sort of reasons. When I've got more ropes to play with, that's easier. I mean, it might be, or unless I've got a very, very fussy director, which apart from that one I mentioned earlier, it's generally not. But that's when you've got money. Like I recently was trying to cast another thing, and they had loads of money, and they were offering people massive amounts of money, but no one wanted to do the script. So it's like the higher up that it's when you're in the A-list world, because especially with male stars, there's like 5 English A-list male stars that can open a movie, so they get the pick of everything, right? You know, like your Jason Statham, those sort of people like that. So they're obviously like, well, I don't want to do that. Do you know what I mean? So that's harder than. That's less fun as well than like, oh, I've got 250 quid, find me 2 actors to make a film about a kid being mugged in London. I'd rather do that. Do you know what I mean? Because when you got the food chain as well, there's obviously all these lawyers, agents, everyone. Do you know what I mean? So even getting something, even when you're pretty at the top of your game as a casting director, just getting it read is, you know, sometimes quite hard. So that's when it becomes tricky. That's when I found it to become tricky. Sometimes I have to put more work in. Do you know what I mean? And also, it's a case with casting is, the bigger the project, the more chat, the more people that have an input. So sometimes you just have to patiently, because also, remember, I don't have the ultimate say. I bloody should. But, but sometimes, you know, like, I don't, the director does, or in TV, the producer does. It's really weird, it's really mad. And you always want it to be collaborative, but sometimes it's not. And I mean, there was a couple of times where I've been like really secretly, inwardly, really annoyed that person's not been cast and the other one. Do you know what I mean? Like sometimes it's really annoying and like clearly it was right, you know.
Do you know why it was that they like?
The director just like the other person. It's such an interesting subjective thing, right? Casting and acting. Like you can go, oh my God, that person's so brilliant in that role. Like you know, one battle after another. Of course, Leonardo DiCaprio, but someone else might be just as good. Do you know what I mean? It's such an interesting world. It's somewhat mystical, magical, somewhat. Do you know what I mean? It's just about feeling.
I think there was a question from the back there, yeah?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, is there ever a time when someone has
What, in the audition? No, not really, because actors are often quite scared to do that. And if someone does do it, I just let them go with it. I can't think of a time when that's gone against anyone. Do you know what I mean? Generally, I'll think good on them. Keep going.
Yeah.
Just keep going. Oh yeah, so I said, I think you're allowed to take a chance. Sometimes someone has come in the room and completely flipped what I thought I was looking for. And I've gone, oh, wow, okay. And that's so fun. And, you know, then I can say to the director, I know, that's what we were wanting, but look at this. And then when they agree, it's so fun.
Yeah, it does sound sort of like the adventure of it. And seeing that, I guess that just sort of that new style, like, right. Is that a lot more common in newer actors than established
No, I don't think so. I think it's kind of, what do you mean, people taking chances, or what do you mean?
or someone, or like you gave the example of going to the director, I know you said this, but this, you find someone who's an up-and-comer or new, and they just blow you away.
Yeah.
Is that more the case than someone
Yeah, it's
established?
less likely that they're going to be surprised by what I'm seeing Benedict Cumberbatch do. Yeah, because they know what Benedict Cumberbatch can do. Yes. I think it's like from like beginning to like mid-range, you can still go. You know, and it's really nice when you and the director are looking at something and it's both like, oh wow, okay. It's exciting.
I think we have time for one more question. So, yes.
How much time do you say is enough time to cast what's the time?
Well, you don't get the chance to say how much time so for example, I'm casting Chocolate Wars now, and it starts shooting in July. I need to have everyone cast probably by March, April, because that'll be in pre-production. So obviously you've got to think about a film needs costume, makeup, everyone, they need access to them. It's dependent on, so for example, Blood on Snow was set in Finland in the 70s. So that's a process, that's costume, makeup, all that sort of thing. So I have to have more time. So that your time scale is given to you by the producer. So I would say at least 2 to 3 months. I mean, it depends how many people you've got as well. I think in Blood on Snow it was 56 characters, obviously varying, but like sometimes it's 3. So it's really dependent, but I would think anything from a minimum a month to, 2 or 3 months, that sort of thing. But that's very much dictated by production, like you, which is good. Because also as well, you've got to put a time limit on it. Otherwise you could, the director could be asking you to put people on self-tape forever.
All right, one more. Yeah.
What's your email address?
It's very easy to look up. It's joe@jofarrugiacasting.com.
Oh, you're going to regret that.
No, it's fine. I don't mind. Yeah, it's fine. Everyone is welcome.
Well, thank you so much, Jo. I always like to finish these sessions by asking the guest if there's anything they've seen recently, film, TV show, anything at all that they just recommend people watch and that they really liked.
Yes. Well, I said I swear, didn't I?
Yeah.
Pillion, also absolutely bloody brilliant. I'm obsessed with it. It's like my top. It's funny, it'll break your heart. I mean, Sinners and One Battle After Another, just for the sheer cinematography and stuff like that. And then If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. If you've not seen that, go and see it. It's intense, but oh God, is it brilliant.
That's a whole smorgasbord right there. Thank you so much, Jo.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming along, everyone, to today's masterclass. There won't be one next week. We're going to be taking a break next week, but in 2 weeks' time, Chloe Thomas will be joining us to discuss her work. So thank you so much for coming along. Just before we go, are we okay to just grab a quick photo of...
yeah, of course. Actually, I want a picture of me and you as well.
Sounds good. We can definitely do that.
Oh, great.
Hugh, how would you like to do this?
A little bit dark, unless...
If you hit the house lights.
Against the door.
You want everyone to come down here? Or should we just turn on the house lights and we go?
Yeah,
Cool. Jo, if you just like...
Just tell me where to go.
Aidan, do you want to be in it? Leah, do you guys want to be in it? Yeah.